some kind of button here. Hello, everyone. Great to see you. We are doing a YouTube live today because I'm going to Charlotte Comic Con tomorrow in the morning with Josh. For you subscribers who remember Josh popping up on a few Sunday morning live streams, we're taking off early. And I just wanted to I want to go ahead and show what I've acquired over the past, I don't know, month or something, right? Quite a bit has been going on. I got to tell you, spontaneous trip to Gatlinburg that the wife wanted to do, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, for you guys, is sort of a tourist town that is attached to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Dolly Parton has took it about, I don't know, 40 years ago from the tourist town that it was and built Dollywood and had it really come up. Very famous. I think everybody likes Dolly, even if they're not into country music. So then on top of that, we've had a little bit of work. Had Like I said, that was a fantastic. Then I had a weekend, Easter weekend. I went ahead and took off from YouTube because I spent time with family, and I had an absolute joy of a time, and I think everyone else did. Got to spend the weekend with the wife. Then the Easter Sunday, we were all going to go out to eat at our favorite Mexican restaurant. The restaurant, of course, was closed due to Easter, so I got to grill everyone hot dogs. Easter hot dogs, guys. I think it's going to be a tradition. So a lot of great things going on. And believe it or not, when I was at Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, there is a comic shop in Sevierville, Tennessee. It's all in the same county. They all run together. And a few flea markets. I hit zero of those because I just was not worried about it. Okay, John Jones is here. Fantastic. Hopefully the chats are showing up. I haven't played around with Google Live, YouTube Live enough to share comments and stuff. So hopefully it'll keep going. So basically, before I get into the haul and give people time to jump in here, whether we see it or not, whether the public sees it or not, or whether I pursue some kind of publishing, very small or anything like that, I have got enough pages laying around and layouts and little stories in my head where I am going to be taking one off the bucket list. And I'm going to be doing my own comic and maybe just one ever in my life and stuff, right? But in the meantime, I actually had to go to the library and I looked around and they actually had this at the library. This came out 42 years ago, I believe. Scott McCloud had finished up Zot and he decided to do this book called Understanding Comics, the Invisible Art. And I've been doing YouTube for 15 years. This will be the 15th year. I've never read this. I've never looked at this. I've known it's out there. But basically, what he said is he took 15 months to produce this book, but for over 9 years, the idea and the ideas for this book was in his head. He There's people like Will Eisner and Neil Gaiman, and a few people that apparently to do his research. That's who he talked to, and he does all these things to show you what a comic book is, why it's called could be called sequential art, how time flows in comics, and he gets very existential. All these he had copyrights and all these permissions for all these characters in here. I highly recommend this, which everybody that's in comics probably knows about this book. But I will tell you, he really kind of goes down the well on a few things that I don't think were really needed. He gives the history of what comics could be and how the storytelling happened, going all the way back to like hieroglyphics and actual things in the real world. But I sort of kind of got out of there because he started doing this thing that cracked me up a little bit, where there's a somewhere, yeah, in here he shows how we go from realistic comic art to more how simplistic it is. And I don't know if he came up with this or who did, but he came up with this pyramid to kind of show you that the further, like longitude and latitude, you're this cartoony, but you're this realistic or something, right? So, maybe I'll buy my own copy of this. I just was really surprised to see it at the library. Um, but there were a few things, but there was something here where he was like, this is a picture of a teapot. Is this an illustration of a teapot? Yeah, the pipe. This is where I about actually bowed out because this was just kind of getting silly. The vocabulary of comics. Here's a painting, the Treasury of Images. The transcription is in French, which means this is a pipe. But indeed, this is not a pipe. It's a painting of a pipe, right? No. Well, actually, that's wrong. This is not a painting of a pipe. This is a drawing of a pipe. And then he speaks some French. Nope, wrong again. This is a printed copy of a drawing of a pipe. 10 copies, 6 if you fold the page back. Do you hear what I'm saying? If you do, you have ears checked. Have your ears checked because no one said a word. When he started that stuff, I was like, come on. So he gets into iconography on icons. We'll just leave it at that. But I can go on and on. But there's a lot of stuff in here that I've talked about over 15 years. A lot of us OG guys talked about for 15 years about what makes a comic, what helps them work. And I'm proud to say there was a few things. He did talk about color, but over the years, especially when I talk about Joe Kubert doing Tarzan back in the 70s, the psychology of the colors in storytelling, he doesn't really, he touches a bit on it, but I've actually gone into more detail over the years on this, which is kind of cool. So there's always ways to keep going. So anyway, yeah, I highly recommend it. I'm just kind of glad I finally got around to seeing this after 32 years. As a student of comics and a scholar, and I do take this hobby more serious than I should sometimes, I look at it as an art form, which really is probably why I'm so sensitive, I guess, to what's been going on at least the last 10 years in comics, where I'm like, I feel like we're losing the elements of comic books and the art in the writing and using the colors and how everything works to tell a great story. So this was fantastic. This kind of like at least lays it out and stuff for people. So yeah, if for any kind of newbie, I'll probably let them read that for fun. Hey, what's up? The comic collector is here. Paulo Costa is here. Hello, how are you, bud? All right. So today around noon, we got up this morning on a Saturday. We were going to get rested up because we came home exhausted last night. And we were going to get rested up. So I got up, did some chores around the house, and then it started raining. So I ran into town, did as much as I could. And when it rains, I, of course, cannot go outside. So I was going to either sit down and read or actually take a nap because I'm an old man, which is fine with me, right? And then a coworker, where I work, I'm beside of a community college. Okay. And little did I know, this week at this community college, they were having some kind of art festival. It's a very small community college, but it's been there forever. In 1978, I believe, is when the stepdad took me when I was about 4 or 5. And with all the hippies that missed out on the love of the late 70s there, I got to watch a double feature of Ralph Bakshi's Wizards and his Lord of the Rings all in one night, surrounded in this auditorium. I guess it was like an 8.6 to 8mm film. I don't know, however they did it back in the late 70s. And that kind of like really shaped my world for a while. And that's the same community college. Well, I actually worked beside of it. And a coworker, but I don't live in the same town. So a coworker texted me out of the blue to let me know that they had something called Eagle Con going on. Apparently, this is the second year, I guess, I don't know, that they've had a little miniature comic book convention. So I drove on out there, found it. It was maybe 6 to 8 tables, a lot of people walking around and cosplaying. I would say there was maybe 50 people there if I had to count. I was recognized by one person from buying things in other places around here. And he's affiliated with it. So yeah, I went through there and I was able to get what you see here. He had these half off cover price, but if I did the math, I was able to talk him down to more like 60% off cover price, give or take a few. Okay. And what we have here is Epic Collection. This has turned into my favorite form of reprint editions, collected editions, whatever you want to call. These Epic Collections, they're just fantastic. My favorite way to get comics now, if I have to do this. These keep me from getting things out of my boxes and going through the boxes, or I'm just able to get things, or I'm missing a few things here and there, right? So this right here is volume one. This is where it all started with the Hulk back in 1962, right? I mean, the reference is so cool, so easy to follow. All right, the bounding, they're bound very well. The colors are great in this. I love the pages are, I guess, of decent quality. And right on the back, you don't have a lot. The convenience of this is what I love, right? We straight ahead, we get Incredible Hulk 1 through 6. Fantastic Four, number 12 of the Silver Age, right? The two books that possibly the last two books that I really, really, really would like to have in my collection that I think about Fantastic Four 25, 26. That's where the Fantastic Four and the Avengers end up trying to take down the Hulk, right? I think Fantastic Four number 12 may be the first thing Hulk fight. Avengers 1 through 3 and number 5. They left out number 4 because I'm assuming the Hulk wasn't there. And then Amazing Spider-Man number 14. Now this for my personal nostalgia, I guess, is Amazing Spider-Man number 14. My stepdad had in a pocketbook. Okay, just a little, just a little book. Looked like a paperback. I don't have it, but it was this size, and they just took the panels of the book and they made them fit through here. All right, and it was the first Spider-Man story that I can remember reading, and it's in here. And then of course, I mean, to finish this off, Tales of Astonished 59, Journey to Mystery 112. But that Spider-Man story is the first Spider-Man story that I can remember reading, and I remember these panels so well. Right, he's fighting the Goblin. He's got a few other bad guys here. That's Ox. I can't remember the name of them now. All of a sudden, right? But I remember these panels here. Okay, Steve Ditko greatness. This is what hooked me on Spider-Man as a kid. Then we were in the cave, Spider-Man and the Hulk going at it, drawn by Ditko. But what got me as a kid is I played in the woods, even as a little kid back then. I'm what they call the Gen X, as they referred to us and stuff, right? And to hide from the Hulk and possibly the Green Goblin, he drops into a stagnant pool of water in a cave. I hope the lighting is working on this. In a cave, right? And as a little kid, I smelled the water. I could smell the sulfur in it, the mud where I played outside. I knew he was going to be like, he's going to get sick. So so that's where my anxiety came from for this character. It wasn't the fact that the Hulk could beat him to a pulp and the Green Goblin was going to get him. It was a real world factor where I'm like, he's in water in a cave outside. And I knew it just wasn't good. It would make you sick. That's all I needed to know. So yes, this is my third epic collection of the Hulk. Absolutely love these and love when I find them on the cheap. Palos here. What do we have here? I got the computer is far away, so I have to squint here. Um, Epic collections are the ideal format for long-running historical titles, and Marvel actually did good by printing them out of order. In case you just want your favorite period, yeah, the not printing them in sequential order. I think that's fantastic. I really do. Okay, so what you see here is this is something else I bought. This one was a flat $10, so I had to go with that. But you're like 10, you've already got Kingdom Come. I am sure I bought this very cheap. This is the Kingdom Come, and like I said, I started getting trade years ago. And I've had this for years. Absolute treasure of a story. Highly recommend it. But as you're going to see, this one. How much was this when it came out? Yeah, $15 tray, so that's fine. So as you're going to see, there's quite a difference in thickness, and that is why I broke down, really thought about it. Even though for some people you're going, well, that's just $10, guys. I squeeze a nickel until, or maybe a quarter, whatever it is, whatever the coin is, but I'll squeeze until the eagle tries to fly off the coin. Right? I do not waste money on this stuff. I have to get a deal. Okay, you know. But anyway, as you can see, it's the extras. Okay, when we get back here, this is mine. A lot of this sketched up with Alex Ross is so well worth getting, and his thoughts and the story behind him and the modeling, where he was coming from, what actors influenced him with his art. And then, of course, we have the reference material, okay? Because I'm going to be talking a lot about annotations here in a minute with the rest of what I'm going to show. We're getting to the League stuff, right? So these are the covers. There's a list of all these characters, and this is, if you really want to enjoy Kingdom Come, Sure, you can enjoy it straightforward with just the work, but there are so many characters and backstories you need to do a little research on with what you can, because he doesn't really delve into this next generation of these characters too long. There's tons of Wizard magazines I was reading at the time that went along with this, right? So we get a listing of all these characters that are on these covers. So a lot of these characters are just cameos, and they were just there, you know. So and the great thing about the trades is that you get several pages, extra pages that you don't see in the 4 issue miniseries that came out. And some of those pages is when Superman goes to Apocalypse, and we find out Orion is actually the guy running Apocalypse now. There's quite a few pages there, right? So we have all sorts of extras there, right? Well, I went with this since I was able to get a deal on it, because when we go back here, we get tons more extras. We get a lot of stuff that were in the Wizard magazines. This is the book I want. Okay, I hope this is showing up. But the Marvel family, we have the Wiz. Well, there's the Wiz. But anyway, going down here, there's King Marvel and Lady Marvel. Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. are now King Marvel and Lady Marvel, right? Because Billy Batson kind of disappeared and things like that. But as you see, there's a high influence of Elvis here, right? Elvis, Priscilla, right? Because it was supposedly Elvis got his 70s costume from Captain Marvel comic books, and Captain Marvel Jr. was supposedly his favorite character. So Alex Ross made it come full circle here, right? So we'll find out. We'll find out. Elvis impersonator superhero. I need this book. This is the book that I wish Alex Ross could finish. But anyway, we just have tons more of the extras in here, if you will, right? And as you can see, these are not colored as they were in the other one. They're greens, blues, blacks, whatever. But we get more articles from here to Kingdom Come, more reference material, a lot of these sketches that we saw in Wizard. I'm trying to think, Alex Ross special. I have the turn of the century Alex Ross special. And then we get things that are either bigger and better detailed than they are on a Wizards page. So this is what I'm saying. There's so much more in here. That's why it made me go ahead and pull the trigger. And then we get some of the new guys. I don't remember seeing these in Wizards. The Cathedral, Mantor, Joker's Daughter 3, 666, Von Bach. I have a feeling Von Bach could have been so much more. So as great as Kingdom Come is, with all this work and all these new characters and sketches that were put in there and these galleries, and some of these were the covers to Wizard. And then we also get in World's Funniest, which was a compilation of funny stories where we had Bat-Mite versus Mxyzptlk. They went through the multiverse, and they actually brought in people like Frank Miller and stuff to do extra Dark Knight pages. Well, Alex Ross did the pages where they enter Kingdom Come. So these are actually extra Kingdom Come pages they've included in this. So that's just what I'm getting at. We get a lineage, the generations, so you'll know who's related to who's Teen Titan kids or the rebels. You'll find out that a lot of the older superheroes, when it came to the big fight at the end, a lot of the kids, the rebels, if you will, went with Batman, and the rest went with Superman, which was kind of cool and stuff, right? Hey, John is here. Great to see you, John. As always, be like John. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like this video either now or in the future. And make sure you hit that bell when you subscribe so you know when I do these things, right? For you guys popping in, like I said, I am going with Josh tomorrow. We are heading out super early to Charlotte Comic Con. It's going to be quite a drive for us. I always like going to Charlotte. It's from 10 to 4, and he said he wanted to go to a game store. So I wanted to go ahead and show what I had here so we don't, run into each other, right? So now here we have, let me show you what I found. I found this for $10 at a local store around here. Right. I have all of the Extraordinary Gentlemen stuff. Okay. I was there from the beginning with ABC Comics, right? And this was the one property out of the ABC Comics, America's Best Comics, that Alan Moore did through Wildstorm. And then Wildstorm was bought up through DC, and Alan Moore was like, I only want to deal with you, Jim. I will not deal with DC. And actually, due to DC messing around while pulling a book or two because they were afraid of making Marvel bad, that's one of the reasons the America's Best Comics series ended. Alan Moore was willing to push through as long as he just dealt with Jim Lee, and he wanted to keep everybody that was working on those books working. You know, he didn't want to put anybody out. Right? As the Black Dossier, which was the last League of Extraordinary Gentlemen story published through DC, he did that just so Kevin O'Neill wouldn't be unemployed in between stories. You know, things like that. Right? So anyway, I found the omnibus edition. This is the first two 6-issue miniseries where it all started. Okay, and we do have a few extras in there and stuff, right? These are all the issues, all the collected stories in the back. Alan in the Sundered Veil. Alan Moore packed these through and through with, like I said, stories and everything. So these are the collected editions of the first 12 books, which are the 2 books. This also comes with the League Extraordinary Gentlemen board game if you want to play the board game. Okay, Victorian style. And of course, it has all the extras, the covers, and all that stuff, right? Well, this is going to go on the shelf, right? I have the Tempest, which was the last League of Extraordinary Gentlemen story, which I've yet to be able to get through. I found it unreadable. And then Century, and then I have a collected edition of Century, a hardback that I found at Heroes Con for I think $5 or $10 and stuff, right? So where am I going with this, right? Well, it used to be this stuff is so packed full of information. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, for you people that don't know, it's Captain Nemo, Alan Quatermain, Mia from Bram Stoker's Dracula, Invisible Man, Mr. Hyde, Jekyll. Second one brought in, it had Fu Manchu in it. Then they brought in the War of the Worlds, Dr. Maru. Well, basically all these things that were sort of in public domain from the Victorian era, he threw in here. And then they turned around and they found things in the book. Kevin O'Neill is the one that let Alan Moore know that despite the Disney version of Captain Nemo from 20 Leagues Under the Sea, Ocean, whatever the movie was, it turns out he's Indian and a prince. And that changed many things. So they have some accuracy here that you don't see from there, right? And this person, Jason Nevins, would go through, and I knew the website before I knew who Jess Nevins was, right? And there were people who were dedicated to doing annotations and going through and finding all the Easter eggs and stuff that they have packed in almost every panel, it felt like. They also did this with Top 10 of ABC also. I think there's a book of Top 10. Well, from what I understand, these have been out for decades. There's 3 of them. But we come out with Heroes and Monsters and A Blazing World. And these are the annotations for the book in here. This lets you know who these characters are if you don't recognize them. They do Gulliver Jones. They're in all the Martians that pop up. Let me give you an example, right? So what I loved about this is that we have things like we have Mars the Image. We have this guy flying around out of nowhere on a magic carpet. They talk about, is the air breathable or not? Well, this turns out to be Gulliver Jones. And Gulliver Jones came before John Carter of Mars. And that's why this book is so fabulous, right? So the annotations go in and they ask questions and they look at things. They explain who this Martian is from the John Carter series. If they know what the language is, they will tell you what the language is. They'll identify the beast here, how they're described in there, and we meet John Carter. So if you are into this stuff that deep, you find out the guy who probably influenced John Carter, Gulliver Jones. Now, what's interesting is that there is a story that Marvel did. I think Roy Thomas did the adaptation. Jim Steranko did a cover. But there's 4 or 5 issues out there of a Bronze Age series. I have the first one all beat up. It was in Stepdad's collection, where they adapted a Gulliver Jones story. Now, what I like about this, and thanks to these annotations, The Blazing World, this is the one for the 2nd series, is what I'm looking at. There's a big war going on here with the mollusks. These are the guys that did H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, right? And then all of a sudden, all these Martians from around the world all pop up, and you get to find out who they were. Turns out these guys are from a C.S. Lewis book. Yes, C.S. Lewis of Narnia did a, thanks to reading these annotations, I did not know that C.S. Lewis had a trilogy of science fiction books involving Mars. And these are from that book. So there you go. That's an example of the annotations of what you're going to find and how much cooler, I don't know another word for it right now, it'll make these, right? There's a third one, and for some reason, the third one goes for a pretty penny, people. I've seen it for over 150 bucks on eBay as I've looked around on it, something territories or something, right? So Jess Nevins, I knew his work before I realized it was him. The When I looked at the web page back in the 2000s to get the annotations and stuff, and to try to, because people were doing these a bit. Well, actually, it turns out it was just Jess doing them. Jess Nevins, apparently, I believe, is a librarian, and he did this on the side. And these are the collected editions of it, right? Also, in these, we get commentary and oh my goodness, and interviews with Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. And Alan Moore praises this book. Thanks to Jess Nevins' work, when he was able to do a little bit more in the Black Dossier, and then when he moved on to Century, they were able to change entirely how they wrote the book and the formula there. Now they could get in there and they could really pack it full of obscure stuff because they had Jess Nevins out there doing this work to identify what's in there. They could have more fun, I guess is what they're saying. They could enrich the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I think we lost the flow of plot, if you will, a little bit, and it turns into an Easter egg hunt because by the time we got to Tempest, I thought it was getting unreadable. Century was pretty good if you took your time, right? All right, what do we got here? Paolo Gulliver Jones appeared in Creatures on the Loose 16 to 21 and Monsters Unleashed 4 to 8, 4, number 4 and 8. Thank you, Paolo. That is it. Okay, guys, that is the haul. I'm actually down here, as you can see, I'm doing a few things around the house. I'm going to be doing art. I'm actually thinking about doing some Batman stuff with, I don't know, some ink, some water, some ink wash. I don't know. I'm going to be playing around, but if I get on a roll, I may end up doing a little bit of a live stream while I'm drawing and stuff because I'm doing laundry over here, guys. I multitask, you know. Hey, UK's here. Afro SF is here. 10:06 in the PM from the UK. You got here just in time for me to say goodbye. So everybody check it out on the rewind. Thanks for popping in. Like, subscribe, do it. This is my 15th year on here. And to be honest, it's actually this chat and a few other things that keep me doing this. All right, guys, everybody. Yeah, be excellent to each other.